Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Sharks win a thrilling and emotional game against the Maple Leafs with Patrick Marleau's return, 3-2. I am joined by Puck Guy and Gentry Alexander on site. Also, I believe I see a turtleneck. That must be Kevin Lacey. Gentlemen, I'll give it to you guys first.
All right.
Go
Good
ahead.
evening, everyone. First off, Gentry has to say something to you.
It's a milestone night tonight. Landy said my name right.
That I did.
Yes. It was an amazing, emotional night in the Shark Tank tonight as Patrick Marleau returns to San Jose in a very emotional ceremony. A very nice video tribute. Well done. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but I would say it was a good night all around.
Yeah, it was definitely a huge eruption for after the video was done. It was a good minute and a half of just the Sharks fans paying respect to the former Mr. Shark, Mr. Marleau. Great, great atmosphere. And also, it was nice. The tank was very full tonight. It was advertised as a sellout, and other than, but it looked like it. So, good on the Sharks. And for a second, I thought that the Sharks gave a rookie a goal. So,
yes, it almost was there. Lacey, what'd you think of the game overall?
What did I think of the game tonight? The game was awesome. I had a great time. I couldn't tell whether or not it was a good game or whether I just really missed hockey. But especially in that third period, the Sharks really started to turn things on. Their power play kind of stunk the first couple of times, but in the third period, they seemed to finally get themselves going outside of maybe the last 5 minutes. I have to run, but I do want to just quickly say it's a good thing Joel Ward got that empty net goal because he missed that wide open chance in the first. So I'm glad he got a goal on the board somehow. Way to go, number 42. Peace out, guys.
See you later.
That was an ENGWG, as they like to call it.
Yeah, no, it was a great night all around. A great game, back and forth. Ceremony native Austin Matthews with the opening goal.
Yep. Remember, he was from the Bay Area, Canada. We can produce hockey as well.
We'll pretend that he didn't spend any time in Arizona,
But remember, it's all that matters is his birthplace, and it was the Bay Area. He might have grown up. He grew. Let's just say West Coast. How about that?
The San Ramon native, Austin Matthews.
Exactly.
But what's more impressive, him being from San Ramon or Matt Nieto being from Long Beach?
And if you're keeping score at home, that would be 2 drinks.
I smell Twitter poll. Let's
introduce the rest of the panel. Miss Rocket Backhander's joining us. How are you doing, Rocket?
Good evening, y'all. Reporting live and on duty from Nashville, Tennessee. I am Rocket Backhander.
And AJ Strong. AJ, how are you doing?
What's that?
And I'm going to roll the quick be a part of the show if you want to be a part of the show or you're new to the show, because we are playing against the Maple Leafs and we do get a lot of Toronto area native viewers and Canada native viewers in general. You can follow us at Teal Town USA on Twitter. You can also use the hashtag TealTownUSA to get us your questions. You can also use the chat. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube. There is a button somewhere down there. And I've just gotten done through all those plugs, so we'll get back over to the tank.
Yeah, all together, a good solid match. Jones didn't have a lot of work to deal with.
No, I think at the end of the first, he had
7 shots, and then I think it was like 11 after that.
Yeah, the Sharks were really stingy defensively, which is kind of surprising, given the fact that we still have Brendan Dillon.
He's played.
He had a good game. I was just slight dig. But it was a nice defensive game. Other than that first one by Austin Matthews, it was like that was going in the net. You weren't going to stop that world class player. But it was nice, to see the captain come through and tie the game up, Mr. Pavs. Nice tip, because we need to see him. Isn't that now 2 games in a row he has scored, or is he? I think didn't he score in one?
I don't know if he scored in the. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, never mind. Well, I hope he gets on a roll, because we need We need the Joes going, and when the Joes are going, the rest of the team just tends to follow suit. I really thought our power play was lethargic and boring and formulaic. It became like one of the Saw movies. So,
but that last power play wasn't too bad. I thought they generated a lot more scoring chances, create some flow. Hopefully they build off of that, though.
yes, and also please keep heed on that top power play unit.
Yes.
What a howitzer!
Oh my goodness, yes, definitely. Quickly, the Sharks go 1 for 4 tonight on the power play. That power play goal coming on their third power play. Tim Heed with assists by Burns and Couture. And let's just kind of run through the scoring real quick. Austin Matthews in the first period, 12 minutes, 14 seconds on the clock. He gets his assist from Zaitsev and Nylander. Joe Pavelski scores in the second period with assists by Heed and Thornton. Tim Heed again scores in that third period, third power play go-around with Burns and Couture. And Joel Ward with the empty net game-winning goal with Tierney and Carlson. And Nazem Kadri kind of making a little bit of a nail-biter there at the end. Guys, I mean, and Mr. Rocket what did you think of the overall scoring?
Well, let me just jump in real quick just to talk about what Gentry and Puckeye were saying when they were talking about Pavelski. Actually, scores for the last game against the Sabres were Donskoy, Tierney, and Couture.
Right.
And Pavelski did not register a point.
Right, and
what a lazy bastard.
Well, I mean, I think he's kind of regressed, and I think we've seen that, and we're seeing that kind of slow regression, and that Superman sauce is kind of wearing off a little bit. Rocket, what do you think of Pavelski's play tonight and just in general through the season?
So far has been a little bit slower than maybe all of us would have liked or expected. But there's so much other stuff going on, especially with Patty not being in the mix. Being on the same line as that guy for such a long time and having to get used to somebody else, I don't want to say that it affects them, but it affects them. So for this club to start looking a little bit more cohesive between the youth and the veterans, I liked that tonight. I like that he works well with the kids as well as the grizzled veterans. He's a good player all the way around.
Yeah, and what do you think, AJ? I mean, we kind of saw this kind of coming a mile away that Pavelski would decline, but do you think the drop-off is as big as we thought it was going to be or bigger?
No, picking his spots right now. Picking his spots. I mean, this was a game that I don't think a lot of people predicted was going to happen. I mean, the Sharks in the history of the team, history, we're talking 27 seasons right now. This is the 14th time in 27 seasons that the Sharks did not commit a penalty. That's huge against a team that has, a player like Austin Matthews. So no, I'm fine with everything. A lot of people are also gonna rip on Burns and say, dude, Norris Trophy winner and 11 games in still doesn't have a goal and only has a couple points. You know what? Still finding their way, and we'll get into it later. But there is some talk that we might see some movement. But right now, I think they're finding their way. They're dealing with PDB's line blender and finding their rhythm. But Couture and Hurdle look very happy together. The Joes, of course, looking good. Tierney out there is doing what he can. Hockey jerk, I love you, bro. I'm just never going to be a Bodker fan. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bodker gets busted down to the fourth and we see Ward up on the third, because you know what? Ward, older guy, but you know what? He seems to be busting his hump more than Bodker. And dude, I get what you're saying with that. Yeah. But you know what? You got to, and granted, maybe Bodker's speed is freeing up the other guys on that line. But, it gets to that point where, like in football, there's tons of football teams that have the really speedy guy that can't catch a cold. And right now, Bodker is kind of that guy.
Yeah, and I
Wait. Right now, he's that guy. When has he not been that guy?
yeah, and I agree
When he
with
was
you.
in Arizona.
Well, no,
All
I
right,
mean,
yeah, you got a point there.
and I mean, even Gen X. I mean, Gen X warned us and warned us and warned us. Two things he warned us about: Mikkel Bodker's stats being inflated because he's a power play specialist, and Peter DeBoer flaming out in his third year. He'll keep banging that drum until he dies. Look, I think Mikkel Bodker is just incompatible with the system. And, people will point to, well, didn't he play for Peter DeBoer on the Kitchener Rangers and yada, yada, yada? Don't they have history there? Look, I just don't think that he's a fit for this system. I think he needs a system where the transition game is the way to score goals. And the Sharks have consistently shown that that's not the team style that they play. I mean, they just don't have the speedy forwards to play that kind of back and forth game. Although you look tonight, and they kept up pretty well pound for pound with Toronto going back and forth. So, I think this team is adaptable, but I just don't think that Bodker is a good fit on this team. Guys, I also want to kind of go over the shot volume tonight. It was just insane. The Sharks,
it was awesome, but for what you're saying on Bodker, thus why he's being shopped.
Right. And I mean, there was a report out quickly coming from, I don't know if this was Adrian Dater. He's the Avalanche beat writer, but the San Jose Sharks and Avalanche are reported in trade talks. The names circulated are Matt Duchene, Mikkel Bodker, and Chris Tierney. You know what? If Joe Sakic makes a trade for Tierney and Bodker for Duchene, like, he's lost his mind. He's clearly lost his mind.
You know what? I'm fine with that trade as long as Nieto comes back in the deal.
Yay!
I'm so kidding, but yes. Because who doesn't?
Skylar Greenberg in the chat says Bodker can only play well in a location with sand.
who doesn't want
like a litter box?
What team on the West Coast does not want a Long Beach native?
Chris Edwards was saying 1,000% fake news, but Sleepy Mofo chiming in, it was TSN that actually brought that up, and TSN's got a pretty good track record on that. So
TSN, not the Fox News of hockey, jargon.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But I just don't see why Colorado would take back Bodker. They already had a taste of him. He did not work there. I don't know why they would take him back. I mean, unless you're circling Chris Tierney as the centerpiece of that trade. But, as much as a Chris Tierney fanboy as I am, that's not that great of a return.
God, I miss the days of three-way deals.
Oh, I know, right?
And then you got married.
And then you got married. Nice one, Rocket.
She's not lying.
Quickly boiling down the stat sheet before we get any more after dark. The Maple Leafs only manage 18 shots on goal tonight, 45% in the faceoff dot, 0 power plays, 8 penalty minutes, 18 hits, 21 blocks, 4 giveaways. The Sharks 39 shots on goal with a 55% faceoff percentage win. The Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way, are the number 1 faceoff percentage team in the NHL. Sharks with 13 hits, 25 blocks, and 13 giveaways. Those 13 giveaways, if you guys are normal watchers of the show, is my big drum. The giveaway spray chart is never a good thing when you're on the positive side of that ledger, and the Sharks give it away 3 times more than the Maple Leafs. So, yeah.
I mean, not only that, but the funny thing is, the drum that I've been beating on, of course, I own the specialty teams drum. I store it away over here in the corner. But kind of like the new drum that I've added is the Tomas Hertl face-off drum. And tonight, Hertl 36 in the circle, 36%. But guess who only was 20% in the circle tonight for the Maple Leafs? That's right. Your friend and mine, Patrick Marleau.
Right. I think we also have to take a look at how many faceoffs each one took. But I mean, Chris Tierney coming in at 80% on the draw, Pavelski at 67, Thornton at 60, Carpenter at 55%. So, you know what? I mean, overall, Sharks win that battle. And really, I would probably venture to guess that they were really, really locked down on the Corsi and Fenwick possession stats tonight.
Oh no, Kevin Curse's head just exploded when you said that.
Yeah. I mean, what was your overall impressions of the Maple Leafs? I mean, to me, it just looked like their offense was just stifled. I mean, when they got blocked up through the neutral zone, that was it. Their game just evaporated. Rocket, what do you think? What did you think about the game from the Maple Leafs tonight?
I think there was a lot of nerves going on because of the whole Patrick Marleau return to San Jose deal. And I'm sure that they would have liked to pretend that there wasn't. But when you get 90 seconds of complete ovation and adoration from 17,000 and whatever people, I think maybe it has kind of a little bit of an effect on you, and it can kind of shift your focus away from what needs to be your, basically, you just, play your meat and potatoes game. You guys are fast. You guys make good passes and ridiculously brilliant plays. Do that. But I don't know. Maybe the little light up boards or the light up ads on the sides of the boards got them distracted, or maybe the lighting in the building isn't optimal for those young eyes or the old eyes either. It could be that Roman Polak is not the solution to that bad body be, but that's just speculation. I really don't know. I'm glad they derailed and stayed that way, though.
Yeah, and quickly for everybody, TSN just put out a little blurb. Sharks hold on to edge the Maple Leafs. I don't really think almost tripling up in shots classifies as a holding on. So
yeah, but we're also talking about the fact that that's one headline. I've read another headline where it's like, Sharks spoil Marlowe's return. So
yeah, I don't know. I cry Canadian bias, but hey, you know what? It's me.
No, I feel you on that. And they did report a sellout tonight, and of course there's going to be people that looked at a couple banks of empty seats. They go, it was not a sellout. Again, those seats could have very well been sold, but they were not used. There's a big difference between tickets sold and tickets scanned, and that's just the reality of the world, kids, unfortunately.
Unless that BMW lounge can fit more people than we think so.
That's true.
Do you think the Honda at the Islanders little thing dreams about being in a different kind of lounge? Like the BMW lounge?
Do you think Hondas have dreams about BMWs? Maybe.
No, Honda has dreams about being, I should be Acura at the very least. No. It's, and this is a thing that I actually tweeted out last night during one of the most ridiculous World Series games ever played between the Astros and the Dodgers, is the fact that last night's Game 5 in the World Series was one of the most ridiculous and most memorable games I have ever seen played in baseball. And I'll be honest with you, towards the end of that game, one of the things that popped in my head was, you know what? Digital ticketing, while I get the convenience as part of it, how many fans would love to take that ticket home because of what a ridiculous game it was last night and frame that. I was at the game where the very first time versus the Carolina Hurricanes, the very first time the Sharks scored 10 goals in their history. I was at that game. And you know what? As soon as I got home, I pressed that ticket stub, and I'm like, no one is ever touching this, because that was history.
Yeah, and everybody who's kind of clamoring about, oh my God, he's talking about baseball. No, he brings up a great point. Those those season ticket fans or holders, and even just normal fans that buy regular run-of-the-mill tickets, would want to frame this ticket stub tonight.
From tonight, the return of the first time Marleau has ever played at the Tank wearing another jersey.
Right.
Who would not want to, if you're a big-time Sharks fan, that would be huge. That's all I'm saying.
No, I definitely.
They actually have a company that will reprint canvas tickets.
Yeah, that's myticket.com. Yes.
Yeah, because we get people at work sometimes who ask about that kind of stuff.
Right. So quickly, kind of just going over shots on goal, just to kind of put a bow on that one. Shots on goal in the first period, Toronto 9, San Jose 14. Shots on goal in the second period. Folks, this is not a typo. Toronto 2 shots on goal with the Sharks 11. And then in the third period, Toronto has 7 shots on goal with the Sharks 14. I believe they didn't get a shot on goal until like 15 minutes into the third period. The Sharks were on their defensive game tonight. I don't think we've seen a better defensive game than we saw tonight. What do you think about that? Just the holding this Leafs team who's high flying to only 2 goals.
Again, going back to the fact that holding them to 18 shots on goal, 2 goals, but again, the thing that I'm going to harp on for this game is going to be holding it to 18 shots on goal and 0 penalties taken. And I don't know if that's because they learned over the last couple of games or there was a little bit of parade to the box when they're on the road trip. But the fact that they 14th time in their history that they went over and penalties taken is huge. And especially when you look at the score, 3-2, imagine how huge a power play could have been for Toronto tonight. Could have given them the edge. So, I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Rocket, what did you think about just the overall defensive game tonight?
God, Vlasic and Braun barely got mentioned at all on the broadcast, which is a shame because I think they did an amazing job of doing their jobs, which is to be a shutdown defensive pair. Brendan Dillon channeling his inner Brent Burns with a lot of shots to the net, a lot of offensive steps forward in the defensive department. That guy had a good night. Tim Heed, yeah, he had an okay game. Whatever. I think all the way across the blue line, they all stepped up their game, had super hyper focus. They ate the right kind of fruit snacks this afternoon, took their naps, wore their lucky socks. Yeah, ate their Wheaties, and they all showed up to play. And play they did for a full 60 minutes.
Man, it felt like a 90-minute effort, though, didn't it?
90? What fucking game has she watched?
Come over and I'll show you. The thing I noticed has nothing to do with defense. This is a completely weird thing, but I think maybe I'm just like Kevin Lacey said, maybe he's just excited for hockey to be back. Maybe I'm excited for hockey to be back because it felt like the intermissions were at least 5 minutes shorter. Maybe it's just me. It's probably just me. But
yeah, no, and you were mentioning that a little bit on the Twitter tonight, and I totally agree. And from a person who always watches the games, unfortunately, from home, but they have kind of mixed up a little bit of the, I guess, scheduling of the intermission. So it does feel like the intermissions go really, really quick. But, in the arena, I know that they always put up that intermission time chart, 18 minutes. And that was kind of always the like, okay, I'm going to go grab my beer. I'm going to go to the restroom real quick, grab a hot dog and come back. I got 18 minutes to do that.
Hold on. It's intermission and you've tried to utter the words, I'm going to go to the restroom real quick. I don't think so.
But
it ain't going to be real quick, bro.
It is if it's the ladies' room. SAP Center has the best ladies' restroom facilities on the planet. I'm not making this up. Sorry. I had to give props where props are due.
We're tracking. Well, quickly, I've just got to say, please subscribe if you haven't already. It's somewhere down there. There's a little red button. But we've got 40 watchers concurrently live right now. So that's really, really awesome. And like I said before, if you're new to the show, please go ahead and subscribe. We've got a great butt ton worth of content. We've got some great stuff coming up. I've got some interviews coming down in the pipe that will be really, really interesting. Kind of getting the Sharks.
You can find out about all of them if you follow at tealtownusa.com on Twitter.
Right, exactly. Back to the restroom talk, I guess. No,
I gotta go to the bathroom. See you later.
Okay, so kind of moving away from the game and now moving a little bit more towards the emotional return of Patty.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
I mean, that was the loudest ovation I think I've ever heard at SAP Center coming from the fans for a returning Shark. I mean, and this is no ordinary Shark. This is the Shark. And I got goosebumps, and I definitely teared up when they were rolling that film. And
Now,
you could see Patty tearing up.
Now let me ask you, Landy, obviously you're in SoCal. Rock, you're in the Nash. I mean, were either of you actually able to watch the video that the tribute that they played? Did they show that?
They did. They showed the full thing, and actually they do that kind of like pan into the scoreboard and then kind of flash it to I guess the Sharks sent them an advance copy of the video, and they flashed it to that. Really well done.
Well, thank God.
Yeah,
but I'm just pointing out that being there was watching them show the video. Obviously you're going to get that perspective, but prior, about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 minutes prior to them showing that video was, Danny Miller calling the opening lineup for the Maple Leafs. And it was, and he started off, it was like, starting off tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs, on wing, number 12, Patrick Marleau. And then it was like, and it was like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to wait here for a little bit until they're done, and then it was, and then they called off the rest of the guys on the starting line, and, that all happened. And then it was, it was very much, please, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the scoreboard for this very special presentation. And then obviously you saw what happened, but being there was just, it was ridiculous. There were women around my seat that literally, and you saw Christina Marlowe's tweet earlier today talking about, like checking off 3 things. I forget what the first one was, but the second one was, it was tickets, like water resistant mascara and Kleenex, and there were a lot of women around me that checked off all 3 of those boxes, a lot of them tearing up. But, there's just not a lot of people that you see that are with an organization for 20 years. So I thought that was a fantastic tribute to him. And, and at the end of that tribute on the Jumbotron, Patty skated onto the ice and like literally 4 spotlights on him from the rafters, and just 90 seconds of nothing but standing adulation and ovation for him. And hey, rightfully deserved. There's a lot of people that are going to get on him and say, oh, he never brought, a championship to, dude, hockey, the last time I looked, is not a individual sport.
No, and the fact that the guy has almost played as many games as Gordie Howe for one team. I mean, Gordie Howe, Mr. Hockey, and players, when interviewed all the time, what is the most important stat to them? It's not goals, it's not assists, it's number of games played.
And right behind that is girls that I nailed after the end of the game. I'm kidding. Hey now. But I mean, you think about it. I mean, you look at the history. Obviously, Thornton has ridiculous numbers, but I mean, just look at the Sharks over the last 27 years. Aside from assists, it feels like Marleau probably owns every other, game-winning goals, power play goals, shorthanded goals, just everything. So when Marleau hangs it up after 2.5 years, if he does, because the guy has a ridiculous workout regimen, I think we would be all kidding ourselves if we did not think that even if the Sharks don't win the cup between now and Patty's retirement, that when Patty retires, there's going to be a big thing at the Shark Tank, and number 12 will be retired, kids. Just deal with it, man.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, there is no other player that is more synonymous with San Jose Sharks than Marleau. I mean, all due respect to Owen, all due respect to Nabby. I mean, even Ricci.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, and you guys are going to completely overlook Doug Wilson.
The first captain.
Actually, you know what? Let me tell you a really funny story real quick. So Puck Guy was at the game tonight, and he was, I want to say, at like Britannia Arms, or he was on somewhere on Santa Clara Street tonight, and he was wearing a Patrick Marleau jersey that had 14 on the back. Now, for those of you in the know, first couple years that Patrick was a Shark, he wore 14 and then transitioned to 12.
To 12, right.
And there was evidently there was a person who had a beer or two and was not able to handle those correctly, and went up to Puck Guy and said, "Why are you wearing 14? Patrick never wore that number." And again, we get lost in the abyss. And I told him that it reminded me of the time that I ordered back in the day at the Shark Tank. There was actually a little area, a little kiosk along the concourse that if you wanted a jersey that was plated, you could order a jersey, which I did. And I wrote down on the paperwork, I said, yes, I would like the nameplate to say Nabokov and the number to be 35. Now, granted, this is in like 04, 03, somewhere in there. It was about a year or so later that Nabokov had transitioned to 20 after Gary Suter left, and then Toskala was 35. So I'm sitting in my seat, and this lovely girl comes up to me with a bag that has a jersey in it, and she says, please check your order, check your jersey, make sure it's okay. And I pull it out, and it says, Nabokov, 20. And I look at the paperwork that's inside where my handwritten note says Nabokov 35. Somebody evidently crossed it out and put 20. And bless this woman's heart, I said, this is not what I ordered. I said Nabokov 35. And bless her heart, she like pats me on the shoulder like I don't even know what, like, oh, he must be autistic or something. Like, just gave me this kind of pat and said, you know that Nabokov wears 20, right? It's Toskala that wears 35. And when she's saying this to me, I am literally wearing an embroidered hat the Sharks sold like 3 years earlier that says Nabokov and on the brim 35. And I give her a little pat on the shoulder, and I said, you know that Nabokov has been here a little bit longer than probably you have, and he wore 35 the first 2 seasons he was here, right? Now go fix my goddamn jersey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you see stuff like that, it just cracks me up. It even cracks me up that, like, when Jeff Friesen, everybody knows Jeff Friesen here is wearing 39. Hate to break it to you, kids. He wore 2 other numbers, and one of them was when he actually came for a PTO at the end of his career. So deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, just quickly kind of going through the chat, we've got some interesting kind of back and forths going on retiring numbers and Hall of Fame status and all of this. Like I said on the show against Buffalo, look, Patty going to the Maple Leafs probably double to triple his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame because of how much recognition he's getting now as a Maple Leaf. You just look at his playoff stats and look at where he's up against in numbers, and you tell me whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. The other one that
how many points did he have last year? 46? Somewhere around there?
Yeah.
And the 40, he cracks 50. just the fact that he was with a franchise for 20 years and productive for just about all of those 20 years. I mean, Patty, for the most part, it really did not tail off. He's the goddamn Swiss Army knife of the Sharks for like the last 5 years. It was like, oh, you need me at winger, you need me at center, you need me to take faceoffs, you need me on the penalty kill. He was the Swiss Army knife for the Sharks.
He was the
That's just it, though, for the Sharks. You guys are talking about him like there's never been another player that's ever done anything remotely close to what he has in the history of the NHL ever.
Not for the history of the NHL, but for the Sharks, yes.
Yeah. And, like, you guys got to remember, like, we're only one of 31 clubs now.
But you know what though? Let me just throw that back at you though. Can you tell me another player that does have a history of being PK, power play, center, winger, playing on the top line, playing on the second line, playing on the third line? I mean, literally, Patrick Marleau, besides being here for 20 years, literally the Swiss Army knife of this, where it's like, what are we going to do with this one thing? We're going to try something new. Who do we plug in to be the third plug? Oh, Marleau. I mean, the guy's the Swiss Army knife of the Sharks and has been for the last 5-6 years.
And just to add to that, I mean, maybe the most like utility of a player since Gordie Howe. I mean, that's gonna be. I mean, that might ruffle some feathers, but I mean, it's just. I mean, when you're talking about a guy who has over 1,500 games, Gordie Howe has 1,767 games. I mean, and
what
now
lazy bastard.
I mean, mind you, he's got 1,850 points, so he ain't no slouch in that respect. Patrick Marleau has 1,089. I mean, he's cracked over 500 goals, 500 assists. I mean, like I said before, he's just exponentially increased his value going to the Hall of Fame by playing in Toronto. I don't know that was the play all along, but I definitely think it helps him out. And my conspiracy theory is he's not going to play that third year in Toronto. They're actually going to trade him back to the Sharks. That's what I think. That's how I think he ends his career. Rocket, what do you think?
I think you're completely wrong on that last part. That whole shark for a day thing, maybe, but that last year, oh, you're so funny. God bless you, Landy.
Well, I mean, look, the Maple Leafs have made no bones about casting away players that they don't want in the last years of their contract. So, Lou Lamoriello will make that contract go away. If he has to retain some salary?
I don't think it's Lou Lamoriello. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's Wilson. I think Wilson is one of those guys that has learned that once you say goodbye to a player, that's goodbye. Like, he might have learned the hard way with Jeff Friesen and Sandis Ozolinsh and trying to bring those back. I think he learned that, once you say goodbye to a player, that's goodbye. I mean, there was a decent amount of people that were just chatter about, oh, let's bring back Ehrhoff and blah, blah, which I thought was completely ridiculous. But no, there was that time in the late 2000s where I think Doug Wilson just got burnt on trying to resurrect careers. He looked at what happened with Claude Lemieux, which did not work. Friesen didn't work. Ozolinsh didn't work. The only one that somewhat worked was Roenick.
And even still,
Well, you know what it is? Everybody's going to point to that game where, or that playoff series where Roenick got scratched in game 5 and then came in game 6 and scored 4 points, had a 4-point game. Everybody's going to point to that. But it just comes down to, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, he brought back Brad Stewart. I think Doug Wilson has been bit enough by bringing back, and I don't want to call them retreads. They were really good players and they were here, and that's awesome. But there's very few times, I mean, minuscule times where a team, and I'm not just talking hockey, I'm talking sports, in general.
Oh, Scott Hannon.
Yeah, there you go. Scott Hannon, another one. There's just very few times where a team can have success bringing back a former player. That's just the way it is. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I think we're going to see with Marleau the same thing that kind of happened with Nabby. Now, obviously, stuff was different with Nabokov, kind of bounced around a little bit and played in Europe and whatnot. But with Marleau, honestly, I think he's gonna finish out his 3 years there. He's gonna realize that, yep, this is good. This is what I wanted. Boom. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens in his last year. Either way, he's going to sign the 1-year deal like Nolan did, like Nabby did, and we're going to – I actually hope that we see a bit more pomp and circumstance when Marlowe actually decides to hang up the skates than we did with Nolan or Nabby.
Well, and this is my kind of we'll curtail the Patrick Marlowe discussion after this one little tidbit about retiring numbers. But I would probably think that even if Joe Thornton retired before Patrick Marlowe, he won't get his number up in the rafters until Marlowe gets his number in the rafters. And I think that they go together in the same ceremony. What do you both think?
Rocket, go ahead.
All right, hold on. I was going on about Doug Wilson not bringing back NNEME in the chat. I'm sorry. Please, Mr. Randy, if you would kindly repeat the question.
The question is, if Jumbo retires before Patrick does, do the Sharks put his number in the rafters first, or do they wait for when Patty retires and they go together?
Neither. He's got to make Hall of Fame first.
Really? So you think that Patty has to make the Hall of Fame before they retire his number?
Either one of them needs to get Hall of Fame before that retires. Plain and simple.
Interesting. The reason why I say that that's really interesting is because Teemu Selanne's number was retired before he made Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I have to disagree with this one. This is one of those ones where I think it wouldn't surprise me if the Sharks schedule it where the Patrick Marlowe, they sent him to the 1 day deal, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's the first home game of the Sharks season, first home game and they do the press conference at the tank to announce his retirement, and that night they put up his number. And I will, I'm talking with what you're saying, Landy. I just don't think, as amazing as Jumbo has been for this franchise, no, Marlowe gets retired first.
Or they retire together, because they have been so inexplicably linked together.
Yeah, I mean, from the draft on.
Yeah. All right. So I guess now we'll kind of go into a little bit of around the league.
Oh my God! Let's talk about Arizona actually getting a win.
All right. I guess we will start with Arizona getting the win tonight. Boy, I mean, it was just a long time coming.
Overtime. The fact that Philly, Arizona owned this game for 2.5 periods. And Philly went, "Oh, you guys want your first win? Hold my beer."
Hold my beer. Exactly. The Coyotes win in overtime, 4-3. They now sit 1-10-1, and
it figures it's a former freaking Penguin that gets the OT winner. Goligoski.
And for all of you at home, yes, the Desert Dogs. There's your beer sip. If you're counting.
Oh! Did somebody say Desert Dogs?
They did. They did. The unstoppable train that is the Golden Knights were derailed tonight. The Islanders. Yeah, I know. The Islanders beat the Golden Knights 6-3. The Golden Knights, shocker, folks, lose another goaltender.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if there's a curse on goalies in Las Vegas, or the goalies are just those crazy players that they are just partying it up too much in Vegas. I don't know what, but Rocket, I mean, can you illuminate us as to why Vegas is going through so many goalies? What kind of conspiracy theories do you have?
Oh boy!
You watch. She's gonna pontificate about how bad James Neal is wrecking people.
They have to feed James Neal something.
The hearts and souls of goalies.
No, I don't know. I think maybe it's aside from extraordinarily bad luck, I think that the reason why Vegas is going through goalies is because they believe in high stakes, fast living, taking really big chances, and that maybe just their defensive lines and their offensive production are so batshit crazy that they're like, we could put anyone in goal and just win. Let's do it. Find out. And maybe they'll have like some sort of community event where they'll have an open tryout. This whole thing is scripted.
Oh, they're about to get LA Kings up in this bitch.
Like all of a sudden Peter Budaj has a job again. Yay!
Oh!
Louis Domingue
haven't they called him?
Louis Domingue is claimed off waivers, some other voodoo magic. Laurel chiming in on this one. Is Tanya Harding in Vegas ... slashing all of the goalies' knees or something?
Why?
Laurel, I tip my hat to you. Yes.
I'm not saying she's showing her age with that comment, but
yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know. But
hey, you want to show some age here? Okay. Every time that I went to Shark's Eyes and I saw, what's his name?
It wouldn't be Holla.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're drinking at home, that is one for your drink.
That's fine.
Never mind. Carry
on. Quickly going through it. The Blue Jackets beat the Bruins in a shootout. The Blue Jackets now stand 8-4. Bruins are now 4-3-3. The Canadiens win big, 8-3 against the Ottawa Senators.
And that might have been the only time this season that anybody has ever uttered the phrase "the Canadiens win big."
Yeah, Lightning keep on chugging. They're something else. But they go to 10-2-1 on an 8-5.
And let's talk about the goalie who got the loss in that game.
Would his name be Antti Niemi?
Well, I'm not pro Niemi, so I'm definitely anti Niemi.
Look, I caught a little bit of your guys' conversation with Alex Martinet, and let's just say I'll throw my hat in the Nabby ring for that conversation.
Either way, Niemi taking another one on the chin, and we're not even talking about porn.
Yeah, not a money shot, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
The Kings are actually the Blues do us a favor and beat the Kings 4-2 tonight. Blues are also doing really, really well with 10-2-1. They finally stopped the Kings juggernaut, which we thought had no end.
Are you a little surprised that Tarasenko has gotten off to a somewhat slow start with only 6 goals right now after a month of hockey?
Oh, good.
I mean, obviously you can say, well, Brent Burns doesn't have a goal yet, but I'm just saying.
Didn't Tarasenko beat out Pavelski for the cover of NHL EA? 17?
Yes, but we're talking about now and not then.
I know.
But okay,
yes. The pressure's on this guy.
Yes. I don't know. To me, Tarasenko is kind of hit or miss. He's not enigmatic. I don't think so. I wouldn't put that on him, but I also think he's a little bit of a slow starter as well. And when he gets really into a groove, I think that's when his value is highest.
Well, and here's the thing that really bakes your noodle and kind of pisses you off as a fan in general is the fact that both Tarasenko and Dustin Brown, as it stands, both have 6 goals apiece.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't know what God Dustin Brown is praying to, or if it's some religion, made up religion, or what's the little chicken? The chicken from Major League. They put the fried chicken in for Nobu, or no, not Nobu.
It's Jobu. He's not a chicken. He's a voodoo god.
Yeah, voodoo god.
Yeah, I think
it just happened that they wanted to sacrifice a chicken, and somebody went out and got KFC.
They got a snake. Too.
Well, there was that too. But hold on, what? Now I'm looking at the NHL website, and it says Canucks won, Stars won, final OT.
No, Dallas won in overtime.
Okay,
2-1, and that just went final, so that's why it hasn't updated yet.
You lazy bastards.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's really great though? Hold on. Can I just hold on? Excuse me for one effing moment, because I need to screenshot this and post this up on Twitter on Teal Town USA. the best part, for some reason, when I logged on, it has the winning goalie for Dallas, Ben Bishop, and the losing goalie for Vancouver, Ben Bishop. This is fantastic. NHL.com. Man, you know,
Wow.
touch me like you know me, man. I love you guys.
I would really actually like to see that, like a hockey game where the goalie plays both ends. It just has a whole ass down the other side.
Well, if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, you might actually have the other team playing goalie for you because you've got through that
might
many
not be a bad
goalies.
idea.
And then, of course, the Sharks beating the Maple Leafs 3-2. And just kind of a quick standings overview. The Sharks finally climb out of that 500 hole they seem to be oscillating into, and now are in a wild card position. You know, they hold down the last wild card, and you know what? I mean, I'm not saying they're on an upswing, but definitely better than they had been in the last little while. And I think the defensive game has really, really stepped up. So that's quickly around the league look-ins, and I guess now we'll go into some crazy rumor / what the hell are we going to do for a winger talk?
Well, so we're going to talk about the stuff that we saw from, I don't know, Kevin Kurz and Teal Jaws and a couple other people.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
I'm down with it. So I mean, so we've seen it. No, I mean, we've seen over the last 48 hours some tweets come out that said DW, or for those of you who don't know, Doug Wilson, Sharks general manager, is looking to shop Paul Martin, Mikhail Bodker, and Chris Tierney. Now, I think most of you would sit there and go, Paul Martin has 2.5 years left on his. No, a year and a half, right?
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5. So has a year and a half left on his deal. Has been injured for the last 5 games and probably will be out. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. That's the weird thing about this schedule is the fact that the Sharks play 5 home, 5 away, 5 home. So obviously this is the first one of their 5 back at home. Wouldn't surprise me if Martin comes back after I want to say their 4th one at home. Maybe plays the last 2 at home, which would be against Tampa Bay and Vancouver. So we'll see what happens. But let's be honest, we'll see what happens. Yoki Ryan, while Burns has not been putting up the Norris Trophy numbers, Yoki Ryan has not looked lost out there.
No, and I think that's a great segue into the conversation of what do the Sharks have in spades right now? They have defensemen, which is crazy. I mean, me and Puck Guy
said no one ever.
Yeah, me and Puck Guy were waiting for you to jump in after that Buffalo game because I was like, I don't know how we did it, but overnight we just happened to have extra defensemen. Holy God! And I don't know how you take Heed or Ryan out of the lineup at this point. I really don't.
Dude, you know what? You watch? Dude, you put Burns back up forward.
Oh, no!
Oh, my God, AJ, you're a genius. Doug, are you listening to this?
No!
I am kidding, obviously, but this is it's just interesting that that's what's being reported. And would any of us miss Martin at this point? I mean, you look at what Burns has done.
Rocket's saying she'd miss Martin.
Oh, well, yeah, because she likes burritos, and so does he.
Yeah, unless they trade him to Nashville. That would be perfect.
well, I actually have a perfect trade partner. Unfortunately, it's not Nashville.
No, suck it. It's got to be Nashville. I need me a Paul Martin burrito, okay? And that can take place here because there are little taquerias here. Paul, come on. Come to Nashville. It's okay. Traffic sucks, but they're nice neighborhoods. I promise.
Actually, I was thinking New York because they are still looking for a McDonough whisperer.
I was going to say, could you be a little more specific when you say New York?
The Rangers.
There you go.
The Rangers. They're looking for a partner for Ryan McDonough, who, while is not a
Wouldn't that be really interesting if Paul Martin ended up being like the whisperer for like different defensemen throughout the end of his career?
And that's what I think is going to be the play here. I mean, he's got to go to a team that is really, really desperate and that still thinks it's got a shot at playoffs. And two teams that are immediately yelling to my head, Montreal and New York.
Okay, so say the Sharks, look at the Rangers and say, hey, how about this Paul Martin guy? He gets stuff done and he knows how to make defensive guys who are.
I'll do a 900 Hockey's MP3 for Paul Martin.
Oh, everybody hit record right now.
For a
please.
new defenseman, why not try Paul Martin?
But no, the whole thing is like, it's like Paul Martin knows how to just get the best
influence on the wildest of defensive partners. He's as responsible and stay at home as they get on the blue line.
He's like a cold shower for a restless man.
Yeah. All I have to just let me do the voiceover, and then we'll just do a montage of Paul Martin's greatest moments, and then bam, gone like that.
Sold.
And we finish it on a tight shot of a burrito.
No,
extra guac.
Hold on, let me get back to my point. Is the fact that if New York is a dancing partner, that would be great. But what are you going to get back for just Paul Martin? It's not going to be a lot. I
want a winger. I want a winger.
No, a winger, dude. Paul Martin, you might get in the singularity. If you're just trading Paul Martin to New York, you're going to be lucky to get a 4th round pick. But if you pair him with maybe DeMello, maybe Chris Tierney, maybe Bodker, okay, and I've clearly been drinking a lot. So what if you try to make a deal to get DePry before everybody shits all over me on the chat, which they normally do, but before everybody goes crazy on me, what if the Sharks trade Paul Martin? Maybe Tierney is coupled with that. Maybe DeMello is coupled with that. I mean, Bodker, whatever. What if the Sharks do another? Now, we all remember how much Boston lamented, oh my God, you fleeced the Sharks? You got Sturm, Stewart, and Primo for Joe Thornton? That was huge. Or when Minnesota said, oh my God, you fleeced San Jose? All we had to do was trade Brent Burns, and we got back Setaguchi, Coyle, and a pick. Those are huge. And then, of course, both of those trades, after a couple of years went by, that it came to be that San Jose fleeced. So what if Doug Wilson pulls another fleece out of his ass, and he gets Martin and one or two other players, whatever, and brings Rick Nash to finish out Thornton's final 2 years. You sign Rick Nash for the rest of the season, done with that, sign him to another year, and with that almost guarantees you're going to get Thornton for one more year, and it's the Nash-Thornton show. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that Thornton, Pavelski, and Nash is your number one line. Next year for the Sharks, the number one line could very well be Couture, Hurdle,
Nash.
No.
Oh, you just keep Nash with Pavelski.
The top line. The top line is Nash, Pavelski, and Thornton. But I mean, no, I shouldn't say the top line, but that's the line. But actually, the top line is Couture, Hurdle, and Carlson.
I mean, I think
fight me on fucking chat. Fight me.
I think, and AJ is going guns a-blazing in the chat. I think that it is a good idea on paper to get Rick Nash. I think there have been his question about his heart and question about how hard he plays and yada yada yada. But I think that's interesting.
You know what the really funny thing is? There was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was somebody, I don't know if it was Kevin Kurz. I don't think it was. There was somebody talking about trading Pavelski for Nash when he was like trying to find an out from Columbus.
Right. I remember that was going around. I mean, the guy that I have circled is Kevin. Well, not Kevin Hayes, because he's a center, and they need centers like no other. But I really like this Pavel Buchnevich guy, but he's 4th on their team in scoring, so I don't think they would get rid of him for a defenseman. But maybe a Michael Grabner or Chris Kreider. You look in New York has always been the kind of the hurdle of their team, where he's got all of this potential but never really lived up to it.
It's funny you say that, because Grabner would be the guy I would like.
Yeah, Grabner's so quick. I really like him as a player. The other guy that I had, I mean, he's not doing so well right now, but Jesper Fast or Jimmy Vesey. I mean, those are 2 players also that are pretty young, that you might be able to get back.
See, this is what what's funny is Rob Iman in the chat saying Kreider is the sniper the Sharks need. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just in my mind, I'm just going back to the thing that I remember when the Sharks traded Friesen and Shields for Solani, and everybody said that, oh my God, this is the sniper that the Sharks, and so we all know what Solani did. Now, obviously, Kreider could be totally different. We've all seen different players, flourish in different aspects of their career. So it's hold on, what is this? AJ, I got a stupid trade idea. Landy, hold my beer. AJ, okay, I don't expect it back.
I like it. If we were going to Montreal,
has been a lot of pontification is going with Montreal.
I like Philip Deneau. I like Arturi Letkinen as 2 players coming back to the Sharks for Paul Martin. Now, mind you, Paul Martin's got a no move, so he's got to go to a place where he would be comfortable. I don't know that he would be comfortable in Montreal, but I think he'd definitely be comfortable in New York, only because he's played in Pittsburgh. He knows the East Coast travel. I think that would probably be a place that he would go to. But look, it all happens because the Sharks, I don't know how they did it, but man, that Tim Heed was a diamond in the rough, and they plucked him out for nothing.
So but hold on. Let me ask you.
Idea. So they're going to send Paul Martin and Dylan DeMello to the Vancouver Canucks for Bo Horvat.
Hold on. No. And you don't know how much I would love that.
Dude, you and me both.
No. I mean, you're talking about like this kind of like log jam that San Jose has on the D line, which I don't think they do. I think they've gotten lucky with a couple, because you look at everybody in the chat, do me a favor, get your drums ready, start getting your little beaters, your little sticks, and that I'm the first one to say this is, since Mark-Edward Vlasic was taken back in, what was it, 03, 04, somewhere in there, when we traded away Kiprasov, that was like, the one of the best defensive picks in the first 3 rounds ever for the Sharks. Might have been the best ever for the Sharks in the first 3 rounds. Look at what has happened since then under Doug Wilson's tenure in the first 3 rounds when it comes to defensive picks, whether it's Doherty, Petrecki, William Wren, Matt Carl, Ty Wissert. Now, obviously, Mueller, which ended up getting, show me another GM who has traded away his last 2 number 1 picks. Hello, Mueller, Goldobin.
Right.
You're not going to see that a whole lot. Granted, Matt Carl and Ty Wissert did get the Sharks Dan Boyle, and that's great. But it just makes me go, oh my God, where the Sharks could possibly be if they had at least one, possibly two, top three, just, oh my God. Don't get me started. So anyway, the fact of the matter is, Tim Heed right now, I am loving this fucking guy. Yoki Ryan right now, I'm loving this guy. I don't even know who. I mean, the fact that DeMello has been passed up like 4 times. Kudos to Hockey Jerk for calling that DeMello will pull a 4th round pick for the Sharks. Because that's where I'm at. I'm loving Heed. I'm loving Ryan. It would not surprise me by Christmas if Paul Martin is the 7th guy on defense. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's also the other kind of option that I see is if you can't get Paul Martin traded because he doesn't move his no move, or we don't find a dance partner, you can definitely move Dylan DeMello. He's young. He's got 3, 4, 5 type defensemen written all over him. He's a good player. He just needs.
Hold on. How does he have 3, 4, 5 defensemen written all over him when he can't even crack the bottom 5, 6 for the Sharks?
And this is the point that I made was that.
Oh, let me guess. You say you think 3, 4, 5 for Arizona. I guess.
No, I think he's a 3, 4, 5 in the next 2 years if given proper minutes. I don't think he's getting proper minutes here in San Jose. I think he's been passed up. And that's why I think.
But that's what my question is. Where is he not going to be passed up? What franchise?
Well, like I said, Montreal, New York, Ottawa. I mean, Dallas. I mean, these are teams that need defensemen dearly. I mean, the whole argument. My whole argument and basis for is the Sharks have a position of strength on defense. AJ doesn't think it's too much of a position of strength. But we'll quibble with that. But they have to go after a team that's desperate, that still thinks that they're in this hunt, and that's who their trade partner is going to be. So you're looking Buffalo, New York, Montreal. Those are going to be your dance partners. Maybe Detroit because you can catch them on the rebuild. And I mean, those are your trade partners in the East.
Detroit could be an interesting trade partner. Rocket, what are you thinking right now? Because you know that I have never been a huge Dylan fan. So
sure. Nobody is except for me.
No, but just based on that, the fact that I'm not even naming him, I actually think, and a lot of it goes back to that ridiculously amazing game that Dylan played against Montreal. So, I mean, no, hold on. Was it Montreal or Boston? I think it was Boston.
It was Boston.
Yeah, it was. Oh, okay. So you lay it on me right now. Make the case for Dylan.
Why do I need to make a case for Dylan? Dylan's game speaks for itself. Not only is he one of the most stand-up human beings you will ever see in your entire life.
In the accent, please.
The Boston accent? Why do I? Because it was against Boston that he had that launch of a game. Yeah. I can't do this very.
Come on, throw it down, baby. Throw it down. Yeah, I know. I have faith in you.
Yeah, I know you have faith in me, but there's no money involved. That's part of the problem. And anybody who's from Boston, I sincerely apologize because I get Boston, Philadelphia, New York, and New Jersey kind of mixed up into one with a little bit of Creole, Chalmette, Louisiana in there, and I really apologize for that. Brendan Dillon's game is phenomenal in that he is
wicked awesome.
He is wicked awesome. He's got a slancha wrista, and he likes the donkeys. Do you know what I'm saying? No, he's one of the most stand-up individuals you ever meet in your entire life. And not only does he stand up for his teammates, he will drop the gloves if necessary, but he is not a bruiser, brainless enforcer. He makes smart hockey plays. He will join the rush if it's needed and wise. He doesn't overcommit in too many terrible plays once or twice, but I mean, hey, we all overcommit sometimes to things we
No,
shouldn't.
I'll be the first to admit that when we traded Demers for Dylan,
Everybody was mad about that. I wasn't a Sharks fan yet, though, so I didn't know anything about that.
No, it wasn't even that. No, I was just kind of like, I was just kind of like, I hope this is an upgrade. And the way that it was sold to Sharks fans was like, we got rid of this offensive defenseman. We got rid of this American Christian Ehrhoff to
Daddy, we got rid of Daddy.
Wait a minute. Who's American? Like
Demers?
Demers is from Montreal.
Yeah, that's what I
okay,
thought.
so we got rid of this Canadian
Frenchie.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Either way,
Daddy.
I'm sorry, I'm not on Wikipedia 24/7 knowing where everybody's from, but it was just the fact that we got, if you looked at it on paper, it was like we got rid of the offensive-minded defenseman to get the the defensive-minded defenseman. Okay, and this is supposed to be the big thing. And, and let's be honest, for the first 2 years that he was here, the thing that Brendan Dillon was pretty much remembered for was coming in late to the holiday sweater video. That's what he was known for. So that game that he had against Boston.
Against Boston and the Bruins.
That's right. Against the goddamn Bruins. You know what? Was one of the most amazing games ever. And when you look at how bad the Sharks were not good in that game, I mean, Brendan Dillon was and hello, no A's in that name, by the way. Brendan Dillon was a breath of fresh air in that game, which was sobering, to be honest with you. But let's get back to what we were talking about, is the fact that we're seeing multiple reports that Dougie, teach me how to Dougie. Dougie Wilson is looking at dumping Tierney, which makes me go, I don't know about that. Martin, which makes me go, yes. And who is the other guy they're looking at dumping?
Bodker.
And Bodker. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't get me started.
Hashtag hot bod.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started. So, again, I'm more than fine with dumping Martin. If they can find a dance partner, I think that would be great, especially eat that contract. When the Sharks got Martin's contract, I just went, oh, I don't know about that. That's a little long. Bodker was, let's refresh. Bodker was supposed to be, to address the need of the Sharks don't have enough speed. They faced the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stanley Cup final, and one of the things that just, shit the bed was the fact that the Sharks did not have enough speed. We're going to get Mikhail Bodker in here to fix that. Well, Mikhail Bodker ended up being the let me see. There was Torrey Mitchell, who was all feet and no hands, but we called him somebody 2.0, or was there somebody else we brought in that we called Torrey Mitchell 2.0? Either way.
I think Matt Nieto was Torrey Mitchell 2.0.
There you go. So Nieto might have been Torrey Mitchell 2.0. So Mikhail Bodker at this point has become Torrey Mitchell 3.0. And the fact, if you go back and rewind the tape, ladies and gentlemen, Torrey Mitchell plays for the Montreal Canadiens, and he drilled Bodker into the boards, which to me was kind of like a cherry on top of this shit Sunday. So if they can get rid of Martin and Bodker, I think it would be great. Now, the third name that seems to be
swirling
in this shit salad is Chris Tierney. And I was on Twitter with Landy earlier, and we both agreed that, okay, Tierney, viable piece to a team that could use a strong bottom six center, but who do you replace him with in the Sharks? Who is going to be your third line center? Because it seems pretty clear that Pete DeBoer says Hurdle not a center. He is a winger. Now, maybe Douglas, see, I like calling him Douglas. Douglas Wilson, maybe this is Douglas Wilson's way of saying, put Hurdle back to center, even though we all think he should be a winger. And you look, the comments that Couture is making after games, talking about how comfortable he feels with Hurdle on his wing. So
yeah, I think this might be a play for O'Regan. It might be a play for O'Regan to come up. I think it might be giving him a space. But anyhow, we are.
But hold on. Okay,
at
so
the hour 15.
O'Regan, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me ask you. So does O'Regan come up to center the third line, or are you talking about Carpenter gets bumped up and O'Regan goes to the fourth?
No, I think O'Regan goes on the third because he's too small to be a fourth liner, and Ryan plays the fourth. But quickly, let's finish off these last thoughts, and we'll take it out from here. AJ, where do you think the movement's going to be? I mean, do you think it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, or do you just think it's going to kind of die down?
I don't think we'll see anything before Christmas, to be honest with you. If we do, it's going to be something small. It's going to be, like DeMello and O'Regan for a third line guy or something like that. Like maybe you might see something like that. As much as I would like to see Douglas Wilson pull something off, that would be great. Again, I go back to the fact that Douglas Wilson has pulled off 3 of the most amazing huge deals in Sharks history. But I just, at this point, and it's not Doug Wilson's fault. I think he's just going to be hard pressed to find dance partners.
Yeah, Rocket. Quickly, your final thoughts, and when and if do you think we'll see a move? I believe you're muted. Maybe on your mic. There we go. I got you. Go ahead.
Her hair is just too spectacular to speak.
Yeah, go ahead. I think you're good now, Rock.
Nope. Still don't got you. You know what? Hey, log off, log back. You know what? That hair, that Farrah Fawcett do is too spectacular. You have to re-log on so we can all hear what you want to say.
All right. Well, quickly, we will just flash up the subscribe if you haven't already. We're on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. Also, check out all the great content we've got coming from Teal Town, USA. I mean, look, we're just going to have content fast and furious, and we will see you after the Nashville Predators game on Wednesday.
Hey, can I just jump in here for a second?
Go ahead, AJ. One last bit.
All right, so just our last pucknologist might have been the best pucknologist we ever did. It was fan-freaking-tastic. It was awesome. So check us out, Pucknologist. We'll have a new one probably late tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning. It was just, oh, my God, it was fantastic. And aside from that, do us a favor, please. Follow us on Twitter. We're like at 1960, 1962. We really want to hit 2,000 like by Thanksgiving. So do us a favor. Share the word, pass it on. Please help us out. Let's get Teal Town USA to 2,000 followers by Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Rocket, are you back? No. Okay. All right. Well, I thought we had Rocket back, but for everybody at Teal Town USA, I'm Eric Landy, AJ Strong, and Rocket Backhander. We are signing off, and we'll see you again after the Nashville Predators game. Thanks for everybody.